In today's digital landscape, if you're running a small business, well, your online presence isn't just a luxury, is it? It's really the heartbeat of your operation.
Absolutely. It's essential.
And right at the core of that digital heartbeat, that's your web hosting. You got to think of it as the unseen foundation powering your entire online storefront.
That's a great analogy.
So today we're taking a deep dive into what a small business should look for in web hosting.
A critical topic.
Our mission here really is to cut through some of the confusion. We want to equip you, the small business owner, with the critical factors you need to consider, everything from how fast your site loads to how secure your customer data actually is. Our goal is to help you make an informed, future-proof decision. Because, let's be honest, picking the wrong host, it isn't just a minor inconvenience.
Oh, definitely not.
It can mean lost sales, damaged trust, and just a whole lot of headaches you don't need.
That's right. And at its most basic, web hosting is simply the service that stores all your website's files, the text, the images, the code, and makes them accessible to anyone on the internet.
Okay.
So when someone types your domain name into their browser, it's the hosting service that delivers all that content right to their screen. It truly is the digital real estate your business lives on.
Digital real estate. I like that. Okay, so you've got your digital real estate, but just like with physical property, there are different types of land to build on, right? Each with its own pros and cons.
Exactly.
So what are the main types of web hosting that small business owners really need to know about?
Excellent question. Choosing the right plot of land is, well, foundational. First off, you have shared hosting.
Okay, the basic one.
Yeah, pretty much. It's the most budget-friendly, generally the simplest option. Your website basically shares server resources like CPU and RAM with lots of other sites.
So crowded.
Can be. It's fantastic for, say, brand new sites with pretty low traffic. Think of it like renting a small desk in a big co-working space.
Gotcha. What's next?
Next up is VPS hosting. That's virtual private server. Here, you still share a physical server, but you get dedicated resources carved out just for you.
Ah, okay. So more private.
Exactly. It's like having your own dedicated apartment within that larger building. You get more power, more control. It's ideal for growing businesses, seeing more traffic, and needing better stability.
Makes sense.
And then there's dedicated hosting. This means you're renting an entire physical server all to yourself.
Wow. Okay. The whole building.
Pretty much. This gives you peak performance, complete control. It's really best suited for very high traffic sites or maybe those with really specific custom technical needs. Your own standalone commercial building, like you said.
Okay. That sounds expensive, though.
It usually is the most expensive option, yes. Then you have cloud hosting. This one's incredibly flexible, very scalable. It uses a whole network of interconnected servers.
So it's not just one box somewhere.
Right. Your website's data is spread across them. This means your site isn't reliant on just one single server failing. It makes it super resilient to traffic spikes or hardware issues.
Ah, interesting.
And often, you only pay for the resources you actually use. Think of it like a sprawling, highly adaptive campus for your business needs.
Okay. And there was one more.
Yes, finally, managed hosting. This isn't strictly a type like the others, but more of a service layer. With managed hosting, the provider takes care of all the server maintenance, the security updates, the technical optimizations, all that back-end stuff for you.
Oh, that sounds good for someone non-technical.
It's a game changer for non-technical owners, yeah. You get to focus on your actual business, not fiddling with server settings. It's like having a full-time property manager for your digital space.
Okay, that clarifies the types. So once you've picked your plot of land, you've started building your storefront. What if customers show up and, I don't know, the doors are stuck or the lights are flickering? That's kind of what a slow website feels like, right?
Exactly.
Now, small business owners, they're juggling so much, they might think, does my site loading in 3 seconds versus, say, 1 second really matter that much for my little local shop? What's the reality there? Does Google actually care about that kind of difference?
That is such a common thought, but the reality is pretty stark. What's fascinating is the immediate, measurable impact it has on user behavior.
Okay.
Google's own data shows that if a page takes longer than just 3 seconds to load, over 50%, half of users will just abandon it. They're gone.
Wow.
Half. before they even see your products or read your content. And yes, Google absolutely cares. Page speed is a significant factor in their search rankings.
So it hits your visibility too.
Big time. So to ensure speed, you need to look for hosts using SSD solid-state drives. They're just vastly faster than old traditional hard drives.
Right.
And integration with a CDN, a content delivery network. Imagine you're a small online boutique based in London, but maybe half your customers are in New York.
Yep.
A CDN essentially puts copies of your website's static files, like images, on servers physically closer to those New York customers, so the site loads almost instantly for them.
Ah, clever.
Yeah, it means faster browsing, fewer abandoned carts, happier customers, doesn't matter where they are. Things like built-in caching and optimized server setups are also critical for keeping things snappy.
So every millisecond really does count, not just for the user, but for the business's bottom line. Okay, but what about just keeping the site online, consistently available? How important is this uptime thing? And what are these mysterious SLA numbers people talk about?
Uptime is, well, it's the percentage of time your website is online unaccessible. And it is absolutely non-negotiable.
Okay.
You should always be looking for providers that offer at least a 99.9% uptime guarantee. Minimum.
99.9 sounds pretty good.
It does, but that 0.1% difference, it might sound tiny, but it actually translates into almost 9 hours of your site being offline each year.
9 hours. Wow, okay.
For a busy online store, that's potentially a lot of missed sales. Now, an Uptime SLA, the service level agreement, it isn't just a marketing number. It's your host's contractual promise about their performance.
Ah, it's a contract.
Exactly. It tells you precisely what uptime percentage they guarantee, maybe how quickly they promise to respond to support tickets, and sometimes even what compensation you might get if they fail to meet those promises. It's basically your peace of mind in writing.
Good to know.
So when you're evaluating a host, look for things like real-time monitoring reports. Check their reputation for reliability. What are other users saying?
Right. Speaking of reliability, just like a physical store needs good locks on the doors, your digital storefront needs robust security. Now, this often feels like an afterthought for small businesses. Maybe they think, I'm too small to be a target.
A very dangerous assumption.
So what should they really be looking for to, fortify their online presence? What are the must-haves?
Yeah, this raises a really important question. What exactly should you look for? First, SSL certificates. These are absolutely foundational.
That's the little padlock icon in the browser, right?
That's the one. It encrypts the data transmission between your user's browser and your server. Protects sensitive info like credit card numbers, login details. But here's the insight. An SSL certificate isn't just about security anymore.
Oh.
Google actively penalizes sites without one in search rankings, and browsers will flag them as not secure right there in the address bar.
Ah, so it affects trust and SEO directly.
Directly. So it's protecting data, yes, but it's also protecting your search visibility and customer trust from the very first clip. You also need firewalls and DDoS protection. Firewalls block unauthorized traffic, and DDoS protection helps fend off those overwhelming denial of service attacks that try to knock your site offline.
Good.
Automatic backups. Absolutely crucial. You need a way to recover your site if data gets lost or you get hacked.
Definitely need backups.
And malware scanning and removal to keep the site clean and functional. Plus, for securing your own admin access, two-factor authentication, 2FA, is really a must these days.
Right, like my bank uses.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And one more critical piece, especially if you handle any customer data, even just email addresses, and particularly if you have customers in Europe, compliance support. You need to know if the host helps you meet regulations like GDPR.
GDPR, right.
And if you take payments online, PCI DSS compliance is essential for protecting credit card info. Your host needs to be set up to support these, or you could face massive fines and, frankly, destroy customer trust.
Okay, so even for a small local business, ignoring cybersecurity isn't just risky, it's potentially catastrophic. But, even with all these preventative measures in place, things can still go wrong, right? Issues pop up.
Inevitably.
And I've heard some horror stories about customer support, people waiting days for a response. Or others say, oh, I never need it. For a small business owner, what kind of customer support really makes the difference between a minor hiccup and a full-blown crisis?
It can literally be the difference between your business thriving and grinding to a complete halt. Because issues can happen at any hour, right? Which is why 247 customer support is pretty much non-negotiable.
Especially with global customers.
Exactly. If your audience spans multiple time zones, imagine your website goes down at 10 p.m. on a Saturday night. For an e-commerce site, that's often prime selling time.
Ouch.
The best providers offer a variety of support channels. Live chat for immediate quick questions, email or ticketing for more complex problems that need detailed explanation, phone support for when you really need to talk it through with someone.
And maybe like help guides.
Yes, and a comprehensive knowledge base or help center for self-service solutions. Here's a fantastic tip, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Test their support before you buy. Send them a few pre-sale questions via chat or email. See how quickly they respond, how knowledgeable they seem. That initial interaction can tell you a lot about what to expect when you really, truly need them in a pinch.
That's a really practical tip, easy to overlook. Okay, so thinking ahead. Your business isn't static, right? Hopefully it's growing.
Hopefully.
So when you're looking at a web host, you've got to plan for that future expansion. You need to make sure your host can sort of evolve with your business without forcing you to completely rebuild everything later on.
Precisely. Scalability is key. You need a host that offers easy upgrades. For instance, moving smoothly from, say, shared hosting up to a VPS or even cloud hosting as your traffic and needs expand.
Without a massive migration headache.
Ideally, yes. Look for flexible pricing plans that can adapt as you grow and make sure they provide scalable bandwidth and storage. The real insight here is to try and anticipate growth. You don't want to hit a hard ceiling with your hosting just as your business really starts taking off.
That would be frustrating.
Terribly. And also, think about the tools you use. If you rely on specific content management systems like WordPress or CRM software or maybe specialized e-commerce platforms.
Like Shopify or WooCommerce.
Exactly. Make sure the host offers robust support for these custom tools. You need seamless compatibility. No conflicts. Imagine trying to run a physical shop with cash registers that don't work with your inventory system. It's the same principle online. You need everything to integrate smoothly.
Right. And since, let's face it, not every small business has an IT team on standby.
Or even wants one.
Exactly. The ease of managing your website yourself becomes huge. What should that dashboard experience, the control panel, feel like? And what features make a real difference for someone who isn't necessarily a tech whiz?
It truly does make a difference. You want a user-friendly interface. Think of it as your website's command center, right?
Okay.
It's the visual interface that lets you easily manage your website files, set up your professional email accounts, install applications like WordPress, often with just one click, and control your domains all without needing to write a single line of code.
So point and click ideally?
Pretty much. Some of the most popular control panels you'll see are our cPanel. That one's very common, very feature-rich.
Mm-hmm.
There's also Plesk, which is particularly good if you happen to need Windows hosting.
Okay.
And then some specialized hosts, maybe like WP Engine or Squarespace, they offer their own custom dashboards, often really streamlined and tailored to their specific services.
What should you look for in that dashboard?
Key features to check for are things like one-click app installers for WordPress, etc., a straightforward file manager, easy domain and email management tools, and clear access to website logs and databases, should you ever need them. Basically, the easier these everyday tasks are, the more time you save to focus on running your actual business.
Which is the whole point. Now let's talk money. It's so easy to get caught up in the numbers, especially those really tempting introductory offers you see everywhere.
Oh yeah, the $2.95 a month deals.
Exactly. But what's really going on with web hosting costs? It seems common for people to just jump at the absolute cheapest option, but you mentioned earlier that can be a real trap, right?
It absolutely can be. It's probably one of the biggest pitfalls small businesses fall into. Pricing varies wildly, but it's crucial to understand the common structures. Many hosts offer incredibly attractive introductory offers.
The first year is super cheap.
Super cheap. But then the renewal price can be significantly steeper. Sometimes double, triple, or even more than the initial cost.
Ouch. So you have to look past year one.
Always factor in the renewal price when you're comparing those cheap options. Also, generally, signing up for annual plans will be cheaper in the long run than paying month to month.
Okay.
And always be aware of potential add-on costs. Things like domain registration after the first free year, maybe extra email accounts, sometimes the SSL certificate isn't included in the base plan, or maybe backups cost extra.
So read the fine print.
Definitely read the fine print. The key really is to evaluate value over price. For a small business, value often means more than just features. It's also about how much time and headache the service saves you.
Right, the managed aspect we talked about.
Exactly. Sometimes paying a little more upfront for better support or managed features or guaranteed backups can actually be the smartest budget move in the long run because it frees you up to focus on generating revenue, not fighting with your website.
That makes a lot of sense. So what should be included in that value calculation?
Ask yourself, Is a free domain included, at least for the first year? Is a free SSL certificate part of the deal? Are automatic backups included? Is malware scanning thrown in? How many email accounts do you get? Look at the total package, not just the headline price.
Good checklist. Speaking of domains and email, there's definitely a convenience factor in having your domain registration and your hosting services bundled together in one place. It simplifies billing, management.
It does.
But does bundling raise any potential red flags we should be aware of?
It certainly simplifies the initial setup and billing, which is nice. However, just a word of caution. Some providers might overcharge quite a bit for domain renewals down the line compared to dedicated domain registrars. So keep an eye on that fine print regarding renewal costs for the domain itself.
Okay, so convenience might come at a higher long-term price for the domain.
Potentially, yes. But on the email front, using business email hosting, where your address is like your name at yourbusiness.com, that's an absolute must for professionalism.
Yeah, it looks much better than a Gmail address.
Instantly adds credibility. So check if the host offers free email accounts with your hosting plan. Look for easy webmail access, robust spam filtering, very important, and check if it integrates easily with tools you might already use, like Gmail or Outlook. Having your email tied clearly to your brand just reinforces that professional image.
Totally agree. Okay, so you're trying to weigh all these factors: price, features, support, email. How do you sort through all the marketing noise when every single provider claims they're the best, the fastest, the most reliable?
Yeah, they all say that, don't they?
Reviews and reputation seem important, but you have to know how to read them, right? What's the secret to finding genuine, useful feedback?
Yeah, this is tricky. What's fascinating here is trying to discern genuine user feedback from, paid promotions or affiliate reviews, which might be biased.
Right.
Your best bet is to look for verified customer reviews on independent third-party platforms. Think Trustpilot, maybe G2. These often provide more balanced perspectives because the platform tries to verify the reviewer is actually a customer.
Okay, third-party sites.
Also, check out forums, places like Reddit, specific subreddits like Reb Hosting, or dedicated forums like Web Hosting Talk. You can often find really honest, unfiltered experiences there, sometimes from other small business owners just like you.
Real people talking.
Exactly. And don't shy away from looking for business use cases or case studies if the host provides them. See if they showcase how their hosting performs for businesses that are similar in size or industry to yours.
Good idea. And what about the flip side? Are there clear warning signs?
Oh, definitely. There are red flags to watch for. Frequent, consistent complaints about downtime are a big one. Reports of consistently poor, slow, or unhelpful customer support, that's another major warning.
Okay.
Sudden, unexplained price hikes after that tempting introductory period is over. If lots of people are complaining about huge jumps in renewal fees, be wary. And, of course, any history of significant security issues or data breaches is a major red flag. If you see patterns of these things across multiple review sources, probably best to proceed with extreme caution, or just look elsewhere.
Makes sense. Now, some businesses have very specific needs, right? Especially if they're running an online store or maybe heavily reliant on a particular content management system like WordPress.
Absolutely.
What should they look for in those more specialized cases? Does generic hosting cut it?
Often, specialized hosting is much better if you fall into those categories. For businesses needing e-commerce-ready hosting, you really want optimization specifically for platforms like WooCommerce, which runs on WordPress, or maybe Magento, or even integrations for Shopify if you're using that platform with a custom domain.
What does that optimization look like?
It means things like built-in PCI compliance support for secure credit card processing, guaranteed SSL included, secure payment gateway integrations made easy, and crucially, really fast database performance to handle potentially large product catalogs and lots of customer transactions smoothly. Slow checkouts lose sales.
Definitely. And for WordPress.
If you're using WordPress, which so many small businesses do, looking at specialized or managed WordPress hosting can be a huge advantage.
Why is that?
These hosts offer specific benefits like handling WordPress core updates automatically, which is crucial for security. They often have built-in server-level caching, specifically tuned for WordPress, making sites much faster. And a really useful feature, staging environments.
Staging? What's that?
It's basically a private copy of your live website. You can test out new plugins, theme changes, or updates on the staging site safely. If everything works, you can then push those changes to your live site with a click. It prevents you from accidentally breaking your actual customer-facing website.
Oh, that sounds incredibly useful, especially if you're not a developer.
It saves non-technical small business owners countless hours and potential headaches. It's a huge value add.
I can see that. And going hand in hand with security, which we talked about, is that ultimate safety net, backup and disaster recovery. Now, many small business owners might think, oh, I'll just back it up myself occasionally, or worse, it won't happen to me. What's the real risk there?
The real risk is losing everything you've built online. Your content, your customer data, your design, gone. Manual backups are, frankly, prone to human error. It's easy to forget or do it incorrectly.
Yeah, I can see myself forgetting.
Exactly. That's why you need to ensure your host provides automated backups, ideally daily or at least weekly. Check that they offer easy one-click restore options so you can actually get your site back quickly if needed, and crucially, ask where those backups are stored.
Why does that matter?
You want them stored off-site or in the cloud, separate from the server your main website is on. If the main server fails completely or there's a fire in the data center, you don't want your backups to be destroyed along with it.
Good point. Off-site backups.
Beyond just backups, ask about their disaster recovery plans. What happens in case of major incidents? Hardware failure, cyber attacks, data corruption, what's their estimated recovery time? Knowing how quickly they can get your site back online after a real crisis could literally save your business from extended downtime and massive lost revenue.
It's like digital insurance.
Pretty much, yeah. A necessary insurance.
Okay. Beyond the technical and the financial, there's another consideration that seems to be growing in importance, both for consumers and for businesses wanting to be responsible. That's the environmental impact of hosting. Are there actually green hosting options out there? Is that a real thing?
It absolutely is a real thing, and it's becoming more important to many. For environmentally conscious businesses, exploring eco-friendly hosting options is a fantastic way to align your operational choices with your company values.
How does that work? What makes a host green?
Well, you look for hosts that actively use renewable energy sources, like wind or solar power, to power their data centers. Or they might invest heavily in carbon offset initiatives, essentially funding projects that reduce greenhouse gases elsewhere to compensate for their energy use. They might also focus on using highly energy-efficient hardware and infrastructure in their data centers.
So it's not just marketing fluff.
There are definitely hosts who take it very seriously. And it's not just about doing good. For some businesses, it can actually be a unique selling proposition for their brand, appealing to environmentally aware customers.
Interesting. Any examples?
Yeah, the sources we looked at mentioned a few. Green Geeks is probably the most famous example. They claim to match 300% of the energy they consume with renewable energy credits. So they're putting 3 times back into the grid via renewables.
Wow, 300%.
A2 Hosting also gets mentioned, partly for their commitment, but also their turbo servers, which are designed for speed and efficiency. And DreamHost has a long-standing public commitment to sustainability and runs energy-efficient data centers. So yes, there are definitely options if that's a priority for your business.
Good to know that's available. Now, all these technical details are vital, but something we often just scroll past is the fine print. The legal stuff, the terms of service agreement.
Size, yes. The dreaded 2S.
Are there common traps lurking in there that small business owners really need to watch out for?
It's a very common oversight, yes. Just clicking agree. And it can definitely come back to bite you. You really must take the time to review the host's terms of service, or at least the key sections.
Like what specifically?
Pay close attention to clauses about data ownership. Who truly owns the website content and customer data you upload? Can the host use it in any way? That's crucial.
Okay, data ownership.
Understand their termination clauses. How much notice do you need to give? Are there penalties for leaving early? And definitely check their refund policies, especially if you pay annually upfront. What happens if you're unhappy after a month or 2?
Right. Don't want to be locked in.
Exactly. Also, look carefully for any usage limitations or sneaky fair use policies. These might restrict things like bandwidth, storage, or CPU usage in ways that aren't obvious from the main marketing page, especially on cheaper shared plans. They might throttle your site if you suddenly get popular.
The hidden limits.
The biggest piece of advice here is probably avoid locking yourself into really long-term contracts like 3 or 5 years without having clear, favorable exit options if the service degrades or your needs change. Your business needs agility, and you need control over your online assets. Don't sign that away without understanding it.
Sound advice. Okay, so let's say you've done all this research, you've weighed the options, you've chosen a great new host. Maybe you're switching from an old provider you're unhappy with. What are the practical steps for actually making that leap? How do you ensure a smooth migration without, a nightmare of downtime and broken links?
Migration can be daunting, for sure. The very first thing to ask your new potential host is whether they offer free migration assistance. Many reputable hosts do, especially if you're moving from a common platform like cPanel.
Oh, they'll move it for you.
Often, yes. This can save you a ton of time, avoid technical headaches, and reduce the risk of data loss during the transfer. It's a huge benefit if offered.
Definitely ask about that then. What else?
You need to confirm what they migrate. Will your email accounts and messages be moved? Will your crucial DNS settings be preserved or updated correctly? Will your website databases come across intact? Get clarity on exactly what's included in their migration service.
Right. Don't assume anything.
Never assume.
Yeah.
Also, ask about the expected downtime during the migration process. A good host should aim for minimal to zero downtime, but understand their process. It's always best practice to plan your switch during a period of low traffic for your specific business, maybe late at night or over a weekend, depending on your audience.
Good tip. Low traffic time.
And finally, it might be wise to notify your regular customers or users in advance if you anticipate even a brief interruption. Just a heads up can manage expectations. A well-planned migration often means your customers might not even notice the switch happened behind the scenes.
That's the goal. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. It can feel overwhelming, I know. But based on the sources we looked at and everything we've discussed, what are some of the top hosting providers that consistently seem to stand out for small businesses as we look towards, say, 2025? Can you give us maybe a quick, nuanced perspective on a few leaders?
Yeah, absolutely. There are indeed several highly rated providers that often come up, tailored to small business needs, but each really has its own strengths and maybe slight caveats. Bluehost is frequently recommended, often cited as best for WordPress and e-commerce beginners. They usually offer a free domain, free SSL, it's easy to get started, and they have 24/7 support.
Sounds good for starters.
It is. The insight, or maybe the caveat, is that some users report fairly aggressive upsells after that initial low price. So as we discussed, always factor in the renewal price and potential add-ons when comparing.
Got it. Who else?
SiteGround consistently gets top marks for reliability and speed. They're really known for their top-tier proactive customer support. People rave about it, and features like daily backups included.
So maybe worth paying a bit more for that support.
For many small businesses, yes. Knowing you can get quick, knowledgeable help when your site is down on a Saturday night. That peace of mind might be worth every penny compared to a budget host where you're stuck submitting a ticket and waiting until Monday.
Makes sense.
Then there's Hostinger. They often come up as best for the really budget conscious. They offer fast SSD storage even on cheap plans and have a very easy-to-use custom dashboard called H-Panel.
So good value.
Great value, getting solid performance at a very low entry price. But again, be mindful of those renewal rates after the intro period. They can jump.
Okay. What about managed WordPress?
For managed WordPress, WP Engine is often considered the gold standard. They are laser-focused on WordPress. They're prized for exceptional speed, really robust security, and advanced developer tools like those staging environments we talked about.
But premium price.
It is a premium option, yes. But the trade-off is their managed service means you spend practically zero time worrying about server maintenance, updates, or security configurations. That frees you up completely, which has significant value.
I see. Any others?
A2 hosting is frequently highlighted, particularly for developers or speed enthusiasts. They heavily promote their turbo servers for performance and offer more advanced tools and flexibility, maybe for those who need a bit more control under the hood. A strong balance of speed and options.
Okay. And the green one?
And finally, yes, Green Geeks consistently stands out as the best choice for eco-friendly businesses. That impressive 300% green energy match is their big differentiator. For a business where sustainability is a core value, using them aligns perfectly with their brand message.
Wow, okay. That gives a great overview of some top contenders and what makes them different. What a deep dive. It's clear that choosing a web hosting service is, well, it's truly one of the most important digital decisions a small business can make.
Absolutely fundamental.
It really is the backbone of your online operations. It affects everything, doesn't it? Your website speed, your SEO rankings, customer trust, and ultimately your sales. It really determines how effectively you can even show up online.
And it's so important to reiterate that this is really a strategic business decision, not just some technical detail you hand off.
Right. Not just an IT problem.
Not at all. You, the business owner, need to prioritize those key factors we discussed. That blazing speed, ironclad security, the ability to scale seamlessly, robust support when you need it, and the overall value, not just the cheapest price tag. Investing wisely in your host will absolutely position your business for digital success. And honestly, it will save you endless headaches down the line.
Absolutely. So here's something to think about as we wrap up. Your web hosting choice doesn't just impact how your website performs today. It directly impacts your business's resilience against problems, your customers' perception of your brand, and your real potential for growth for years and years to come. So the question is, what foundation will you choose to build your digital future on?